the match has finished Freiburg 1, West Ham 0. Now, I'm going to cut straight to the end of the game, and I'm going to say the 94th minute. There was 4 minutes injury time put on, and we'd gone over that. It was the 94th minute, and West Ham could have had a penalty, possibly for handball. Thomas Souček sort of kicked the ball up as it went up. The guy's hands were up here, but it was very close. The ball, between where the ball travelled and the guy's hand, there wasn't much distance. The referee didn't give the penalty. VAR told him to have a look at it. He went and had a look. He went and had a look at the screen, and he stuck with his original on-field decision. It's going to be very, very easy for me to sit here and to talk about the injustice that West Ham have suffered. But I think if I concentrate too much on that, then we're really not going to be looking at the stuff that West Ham actually did wrong in this game. Because if what we're doing is we're relying on and let's be fair, never mind, on a 94th, almost 95th minute penalty to try and just get a draw in a game, then I think we've got problems. Could it have been given? Yes. Should it have been given? Probably. But if it had been given against us, I think I'd have been quite unhappy about it, really. It probably should have been a penalty. But, as I say, I just don't want to be talking about sort of poor justice, rough justice for West Ham, because we were the architects of our own loss there, really. We probably did, in fact, we did deserve a draw. We deserved at least a draw, I think it's fair to say. Fabianski wasn't asked to do loads and loads of work in this game. He absolutely wasn't. At the start of the game, there was an absolute barrage of crosses from Freiburg, and they were dealt with really very, very easily. They went long, they went wide, lots of crosses, constantly coming in. Do you know what? Mavropanos cleared pretty much all of them. He was very impressive, actually. Mavropanos, the first 25 minutes, very, very impressive indeed. And I think so were Freiburg. Freiburg were all right. The crowd were loud, as you would expect, but we weathered the storm. We couldn't seem to keep hold of the ball for very long either. We kept on. We were very much a counter-attacking team, but we couldn't really counter-attack to much great effect, unfortunately. So we just couldn't pass the ball particularly well. So it just came back at us and came back at us. But anyway, we weathered the storm. And actually, we did create some chances of our own. Bowen had a chance. Paqueta had a couple of chances. Kudus started to grow into the game from the right-hand side and put over a number of good crosses. At the start of the game, Paqueta was linking well with Emerson, who went off injured later on in the game, by the way. He was linking well with him, but he very much stuck to that left-hand side. When he started to wander inside and almost play as a number 10, if you want, but very, very close to Bowen, we looked a little bit better and we started to open things up. But he didn't have a great game, Paqueta, by the way. He had two really good chances, as should be said. Bowen possibly had the best chance. I don't know. There's a number of players. I think Mavropanos probably should have scored, actually, from a corner. So we had our chances. We just didn't take them. And I should make this point, that I think it was very close to us doing almost a perfect European job there. There was a point during the game, probably at around the 70th minute, when we'd totally weathered the storm. West Ham were in control in this game, and I thought we were going to score. Bowen curled a lovely, lovely shot, which a goalkeeper saved well, just tipped it round the corner. And I thought at that point, I actually thought we were going to win 1-0, and it would have looked really... looked like an old school Italian sort of European performance. Unfortunately, I'm not here telling you that story because West Ham made some mistakes. Now, because I'm going to rip into a little bit here, actually. Before I do that, I probably want to say that I believe we will go through. I think we'll win next week at the London Stadium, and we'll go through. And actually, I think we might reflect back on this as actually a 1-0 defeat as not a bad result. But that's based on us winning the next game, which I think we will. As an isolated performance and a one-off game, there were some things I really, really didn't like. I think the first thing was James Ward-Prowse. Remember earlier on I said Lucas Paqueta was stuck on the left-hand side of midfield? Well, we've got a new position. And the position is, you know that term when you see it written down, CDM, means central defensive midfield. And then you see that a C8M as a central attacking midfielder. we have now got a DCAM. We've got a defensive central attacking midfielder in James Ward-Prowse, and it's doing my nut in, actually. It really is. And then when Lucas Paqueta came and played in the middle, Ward-Prowse went to the left wing. We once again had a holding winger. I was having to sort of calm myself down a little bit with it. Not that I was angry, but I'm just frustrated. I'm just sick of seeing an attacking position in the team, be it an attacking midfielder or a winger, a position within the framework of the team which should be an attacking one, turned into a defensive one. And it was quite a frustrating thing to watch. And early on in the game, Ward-Prowse worked really hard, by the way, really hard. I do not have a problem with anyone's work rate, but with him in this sort of holding attacking midfield role, and Thomas Souček, who didn't have a bad game, but his passing, particularly in the first half an hour, was awful. It was awful. You'd see some really good bits of link-up play between Edson Alvarez, between Lucas Paqueta, and between Emerson. Really passing it well. And then it'd go to Souček, bang, and we'd just lose the ball. It was just awful. So it was frustrating. And I was looking at Alvarez, who was the only player in the midfield at one point sort of able to pass the ball. The great irony is it was his bad pass which led to their goal. As obviously it finished 1-0 to Freiburg. Their goal was, what can I say? Alvarez gave it away. Then it went down down Soufal's side of the pitch. Soufal played well, by the way, in this game. I thought Soufal had a good game. As I thought did Mavropanos. And then the ball was sort of a cross, but I feel it was scuffed a little bit. But Kurt Zuma, you'll see this when you watch the goal back if you haven't seen it already. Kurt Zuma's marking was just atrocious. It was truly awful. It was a completely avoidable goal. A completely avoidable goal. But we hadn't done anything about it. And I'm quite disappointed with David Moyes in this game. I think we'll go through. I do. But I was very, very disappointed. As soon as we went a goal down, he took off James Ward-Prowse and he put on Calvin Phillips. And it was Don Hutchison who was doing the commentating. And Don Hutchison was saying, I can't believe he's made a defensive substitution. And I agree with what he said, but I didn't. I agreed with Don Hutchinson's disgust that after going a goal down, a manager would bring on a defender. Because that's what Calvin Phillips is. But I thought, well, this is going to be no different to West Ham because this is how we've been playing anyway. It's just James Ward-Prowse has been playing as a defensive player. As I say, defensive winger or defensive attacking midfielder. There's really no difference. I knew he was going to push Souček up, which is what he did. And to be fair, Moyes would probably argue that it almost worked. Moyes would be saying he feels hard done by because we should have had a penalty at the end. And the only reason I'm dismissing that is if we focus too much on the penalty we should have been awarded, it's going to mask and it's going to completely cover over the actual things that we did wrong. Because you will not, David Moyes, not you, but David Moyes will not convince me that the intention and the tactic in that game was for us to get a penalty on 94 minutes and 28 seconds. No way. No way would we play for that. That would be impressive. If you could play for that and make that happen, I'd be impressed. We just weren't. So I just found it a little bit disappointing, actually, that a game when we had the better players. I should probably say that. We had the better players. There was a point where we were in control of this game, and actually what needed was another attacking substitute, just to get the game over the line. I understand why Moyes didn't do it, because he probably thought a 0-0 was a good result. And it would have been. I actually think a 1-0 loss is probably not a bad result. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying here. I'm sure you do. But there was a lot wrong with the decision-making, with the team plan, with some of the execution. Not everyone was bad. I thought there was times when I looked at Bowen, I thought, he's really sort of learning this centre-forward role well. He really is. He looks more and more like a centre-forward the more I see him play. And I thought Kudus played well, as I say, Mavropanos. Alvarez up to the point where he gave the ball away. Anyway, I tell you what, the one interesting thing I did worry about was when I think it was 67 minutes when Emerson got injured and Moyes brought on Cresswell. And actually, Cresswell was all right, by the way. But it worried me because of what happened 2 seasons ago with the 2 red cards in the quarterfinals and the semi-finals with Cresswell when he got exposed, particularly by quick players. And he was up against, I can't remember the guy's name. What did Gio call him? And that's it, Gio called him the Japanese Shakira. I called him the Japanese Shakira. But, he's quick, direct, and so I was a little bit worried about that. But it was okay. It was cool. He actually did a really good cross, Cresswell did, to be fair to him. The players look tired again. Come the end, and this is what you do. This is... Bowen's going to be tired. Look, we hopefully should win against Burnley. I'll deal with that another time. I'm just a little bit frustrated. I don't think it's the worst scoreline in the world, and I think we'll probably go through. But there's criticisms today, and as I know I've already said it twice. I'll say it the last thing. What I don't want is that yellow card, that penalty, to mask what was done. There were some bad decisions today, really, really bad decisions, and I understand it. It's actually served us pretty well. David Moyes' tactics in Europe, they're very, very impressive. They really are. But he's lost. He's lost today. Hopefully he can retrieve it. Anyway, I'm going to go now. It's late at night. Everyone needs to get to bed. I'll catch up with you tomorrow.